Hey guys, this is the last Wednesday video in July. I'll see you in August, but let's talk about the haunted places in this state. There's only 10 this time. 10. I'll put it on the screen because I do not know how to pronounce that. Oh, apparently Ghost Adventures went here. This was the first ever state-run hospital in the state of New York. Though it was opened in 1843, the hospital that was aimed at treating mentally ill patients was ahead of its time compared to various institutions in the state or possibly anywhere else. Though it appeared that the patients would be well taken care of, what happened behind closed doors was something that no one could have ever known unless they had been inside. Electroshock treatments and lobotomies were often performed on patients. The conditions were anything but sanitary, and the rooms were small and cramped. One of the facilitators of the hospital developed a cage that was intended to punish any residents who misbehaved or calm down any patients who may have acted out. This was known as the name of the hospital, Crib. Many people who have resided near the hospital or just passing through have told recollections of faces in the window and frequent screaming coming from the building. Even though the public is prohibited from entering the building on their own accord, the local government will occasionally host tours of the state hospital for anyone interested in paranormal activity. Okay, well, might not be able to do that. Number 9, Iron Island Museum. If you're looking for a place where paranormal activity might just be guaranteed to happen, look no farther than Buffalo's Iron Museum. Iron Island Museum, God. At one point, this served as both a funeral parlor and a church. Rumor has it the ashes of a military vet named Edgar, I'm going to put his last name, had gone unclaimed for years. It was for this reason that a specter might be hanging around the museum. Also, you might want to be on the lookout for any sightings and sounds that may sound remotely like paranormal activity. After all, this was once a funeral parlor. If you're among the crazy brave, you'd be crazy not to check this place out. 8. Buffalo Central Terminal. Another place that isn't too far from the Iron Island Museum is the Buffalo Central Terminal. This train station had ceased operations more than 40 years ago. But even today, some of the people coming and going from the terminal are those who are among the non-living. Some people have recalled seeing the movements of various shadowy figures and even the feeling of being watched by some mysterious figure. One of those spirits is said to be a woman who goes by the name of Rose. The central terminal is run down and looks like it could use some repairs, but that only makes these a lot scarier for a place known for ghostly activity. Number 7, the Sagamore. Going across the state, the Sagamore is situated on the shores of Lake George. This is one of the more luxurious hotels that you can find outside of New York. Sorry guys, if you saw a cut, I'm rereading a sentence, so let me do that. This is one of the more luxurious hotels that you can find outside of this state. In fact, the rooms are quite pricey, ranging from $200 to $600. If you can swing that kind of money on a place, then you best believe that you'll be in for a treat of the paranormal kind. Though the building has been around since the 19th century, the ghost stories of the Sagamore are never in short supply. One spirit in particular is one belonging to a little boy who died after being hit by a car. The sounds of a child giggling can be heard on the grounds of the Sagamore. Hyde Hall, number 6. Just down the road from the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown is the home that was 20 years in the making for a landowner who would soon die just a year before completion. George Clark did not live to see his dream home come to life, but even in the afterlife, his spirit lives on inside the house. On the property is a crypt that is open to tours on Friday and Saturday nights. The stories of paranormal activity go back to well over a century. The spirit of George Clark is usually sighted in the windows, and the sounds of footsteps can often be heard in the halls. It was rumored that a resident of the house had told a story about sheets being yanked off the bed. A house with paranormal activity with a crypt on the property? Yep, you can expect this to be quite the haunting adventure for you. Number 5, Rolling Hills Asylum. Considering that there were a few asylums throughout the state of New York, one of them seems to outmuscle the other when it comes to the stories of paranormal activity. During its time of operation, more than 17,000 people were buried, with a majority of them in unmarked graves. The farmhouse is a place where vagrants would work in the fields and live since they had no home. Afterward, the house took shape of a hospital, both for medical purposes and a sanatorium for tuberculosis patients, among other uses. It was then used as a psych ward where an inmate named Roy would meet his demise. It is said that he has taken the form of a spirit that could long be described as a 7-foot shadow man that haunts visitors. 4. Letchworth Village. I'm going to put it on the screen just in case it's not how I pronounced it. Resting on more than 2,000 acres of land, it is a building with a design that was inspired by Thomas Jefferson's Monticello. I've heard it pronounced Monticello, I've heard it pronounced Monticello, and I've heard it pronounced Monticello. Please tell me which one is right. Despite the beautiful landscape and building architecture, the confines were anything but friendly. Letchworth Village served as a facility that was designed to care for physically and mentally disabled children and adults. Like most of the institutions in this state, Letchworth Village is one of a handful of places that have been under suspicion for patient mismanagement. Complaints of malnutrition, patients living in filthy conditions, and not wearing any clothing were among the many things that were rumored to have happened. It is also the place where test vaccinations for polio were done. While the abandoned facility is considered off limits to the public, those daring to trespass would hear moving objects or objects being thrown around. Of course, there have also been weird, uncomfortable sounds that can be heard in the halls and rooms. 3. Palmyra Historical Museum. I'll put it on the screen just in case it's not right. Located east of Rochester, the village of Palmyra was the site of a tragic house fire that killed 6 children and their mother in 1964. Since then, the house was converted into a museum, but visitors have been visibly spooked by various paranormal activities that they had experienced. These included feelings of being pulled or tugged, being pawed gently by a phantom cat, the smell of ash coming from the basement, and toys sliding off the shelves. 2. Sleepy Hollow Cemetery. Ah, yes, Sleepy Hollow. You may have heard that world-famous Washington Irving story of Ichabod Crane and the Headless Horseman. And you probably have seen the various film or television adaptations of that very story. Believe it or not, Irving himself is one of the many who are calling this cemetery their final resting place. But the stories of those buried here are often more horrific than the legendary Headless Horseman story. Tales of murders, unalivings, and a handful of scandals that will be guaranteed to leave you spooked by the time you're finished with the local tours they host. 1. Amityville Horror House. If there was a haunted house that you've probably heard of, the Amityville Horror House might be the first that comes to mind. Situated in the town of Amityville on part of this state's South Shore, the house was the site of a gruesome murder. In 1974, Ronald DeFeo Jr. murdered 6 members of his family. He was later convicted and is currently serving life in prison. A year after the murders, a new family had moved into the home, only to vacate it less than a month, after seeing what could be copious amounts of paranormal activity, including visions, bad smells, and very strange, creepy feelings. Though it is a private residence, the current owners probably would appreciate if you respect their privacy rather than just take pictures or just waltz up to the front door. As much as I read about Amityville, and as much as I would dabble in conversations about Amityville, I will respect the current owners, and I will not ask to go to the Amityville. Also because I've heard that Amityville is very traumatic. Me being sensitive to paranormal, I don't think me going would be the greatest idea. Amityville is one of those places that fascinates me and terrifies me at the same time. One place there are 2 places I do want to go that aren't necessarily paranormal. The first one is in Ukraine, and it is Chernobyl. And the other place I want to go is in Pennsylvania. It's this town that a sinkhole just happened. It's not safe to go there, okay? But I wish I could, because I just want to see it. Like, it's not safe to live in, so it's an abandoned town, but I just want to see what it's like. I'm trying to get this ring off my finger, by the way. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!